Hey guys, welcome back to Jenny from the Chopping Block, Recipes for Success. And today I have an amazing guest that I got the privilege to get to know within these past couple of weeks, Benita Kasbo. And I met her, actually, it's a funny story, on Daymont John's show on Instagram.
Yeah.
Day was trying to add me to the live a couple of times, and for some reason I was having technical issues. And then Benita came on and shared her story, and I was so intrigued, and that led into us connecting. And I had actually videoed some of the interview as well, and then we just connected, and I got to learn more about her mission. And
oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Oh my gosh,
it's all good. It's all good. So Benita, can you tell us a little bit more? Really, my question to you is, because I know a lot of times food has like an emotional attachment to us, and I know that it's part of your culture, and I also know that it means a lot to you, and you want to bring this out there and to all of us. And I just think it's remarkably inspiring what you've done, even the past couple of months. So can you tell us a little bit more about what this, like maybe the first time you've had this, or what it means to you and your family, and what inspired you to make your own?
So I think I've been eating Jibneh since I've had teeth. I remember being as young as 5 years old eating it. I mean, it was in my refrigerator every day of my life. So when I got married, I took on the recipe,
because I know
and I started making it myself. And I knew that it was something that I wanted to continue on, like this tradition of making Syrian cheese at home. So every few months I would sit down, I would make 40 pounds of cheese, and we would eat it. And then I had kids, and now my kids eat this cheese every day, and they take it to school, and people ask them, "What are you eating? Is that mozzarella cheese?" And they're like, "No, it's Syrian cheese." And they're like, "What's Syrian cheese?" And so now my kids are like my little mini advertisers. And it's just really a big part of the part of growing up for me was having Syrian cheese sandwiches. And you wanted a snack, you ate a piece of cheese, and it was just a big part of my life. And I never realized as a young person that one day I'd grow up and say, "Oh, let me make this and create it into a business."
So that's where I'm really interested, and I love that. Thank you for sharing that, and how it's like a tradition for your family. So what inspired you to turn it into a business? How did that all happen?
So a few things happened. So one is I was working in a corporate environment, and I was very unhappy. And I would make cheese, and I would sit there and I'd be cooking it, and I'd be like, "Oh, I wish I could sell this cheese. I wish I could sell this cheese." And one day, you won't believe this story I have not told you. It was my children's birthday, and I had to run to ShopRite to pick up their cake. So I'm picking up their cake, and there's a woman standing there because the bakery was right next to the cheese counter, and she's handing out cheese samples. And her name was Sharon, and she's from Cooperstown Cheeses. And I said to her, "Oh, this is so delicious." And she's telling me about it. And I said, "Oh, well, guess what? I make cheese too." And she goes, "What do you mean you make cheese?" I said, "Well, I'm Syrian. I make Syrian cheese." She's like, "Oh, I'd love to try it." And so I said to her, "Okay, I'll be right back." So I call my husband. We have people coming to our house, and I'm like, "Get the Jibneh, put it in a bag, get me some pita bread. I'm coming to get it." He's like, "Why? Why?" I'm like, "Just do it." So I run back home. I pick up the cheese. I come back to ShopRite, and I give it to her. And then she's like, "Give me your phone number." So I give her my phone number. And she said, "All right, I'll call you." I said, "Okay." So I give her the cheese. We walk away. And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen with the situation. It was a total stranger. So then a week later, she called me, and she's like, "Benita, this cheese is so delicious. And I want to encourage you to bring it to the market."
Beautiful.
And she loved it so much that she actually asked me to buy the recipe.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh no, I can't."
I know how that goes.
I don't even know what to go for, to be honest with you. Like, I don't even know what it would be worth. So that really, like, she really encouraged me very much. She's like, "You have a delicious product." She's worked in cheese for a decade. She said, I really would tell you, please do this. And I said, okay. I said, I'm going to try. So I started investigating, what it took to have a food business in New Jersey. New Jersey is one of the few states that doesn't allow in-home food products to be sold. So I had to go get licensed. I had to find a commercial kitchen. You have to get insurance and marketing and all of that. And that was back in 2017.
How was that process for you? Like, not like you didn't know, like, I'm sorry?
It was challenging.
Okay. What was challenging about it?
So, it's just especially, when you look at like state websites, like they're not very, they're not very directive, right? Like, it's like, okay, you start your LLC, but then you're like, okay, how do I need a retail license? Do I need a wholesale license? Do I have to charge tax? There are all these questions, and it's not easy to navigate all those questions when you're very green to starting a business. So it took a lot of time to figure it out. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if I have it all figured out yet. And I'm still learning. And luckily, I do have all my licenses. I have insurance. I have a kitchen. So all of that, is legit. But there's lots of questions that you don't know what you need to know. And you don't always know where to get the answer. And the website is not very helpful. But one thing I did find that was helpful was there is a new business, New Jersey new business page that you can go to, and you can connect almost with like a mentor. And so I connected with this woman.
Oh, I was going to ask you.
Yeah, she was very helpful. Yeah. Beautiful. So yeah, but not so easy to navigate though. And I don't know what it's like in other states, but it's not a simple process. And then also too, like setting up your inspections and knowing who to talk to know the right questions to ask. I don't know what the right questions to ask. So I was just kind of learning as I was going.
So you got all that done, and that was 2017. And I remember you saying earlier, like how sometimes, even if things don't happen right away, like you still had this dream. And I do know that what is super inspiring to me is you have now put your cheese into Ideal Cheeses in New York City just this past July. So can you tell us all about that experience and how, even with everything going on, you made this happen? And oh my God, I love Ideal Cheese. I just love that whole experience going together. It was just amazing.
And honestly, like, just to give them like a little plug, like, what a great cheese shop. They have so many options for cheeses from all around the world. I mean, France, Italy. I mean, really, they are true cheese leaders in terms of the variety that they carry. And then also they have like this beautiful grocery that has so many unique items. I saw, you guys were picking up pastas, and they have mint vinegar. Who even knew that existed?
Oh yeah.
And so it's a really great cheese shop located on First Avenue, New York City. So you want to know about how I got into Ideal Cheese Shop?
I do.
Okay. So interestingly enough, coronavirus comes along and, shatters our lives and shuts us all down. And I follow Marcus Lemonis on Instagram. And for those of you who don't know him, he's the CEO of Camping World. And he has a show on CNBC called The Profit. So basically businesses that are in financial trouble contact him. They apply for the show. He selects you, he goes in, and he becomes business partners with you if he feels that it's something that he'd be interested in. So Ideal Cheese Shop was on his show, and I had seen the episode. So, this year comes along, March comes, we're all home, and Marcus started doing all these Instagram lives. And I was determined to speak to him. I was just determined. And Marcus is Lebanese. He's adopted. So we have a little bit of a Middle Eastern connection there. And he grew up in Miami, but he's from Lebanon. So I was staying up late. I kept trying to get selected, requesting to go live. And so finally one night it happened, and it was April 21st, and he picked me. So he said, what do you do? And I said, I just started this Middle Eastern cheese business. and it's a Middle Eastern food company. And he's on the camera going, like he's interested. And I'm telling him about it. He goes, well, do you have a commercial kitchen? And I said, I do. And I said, I'm waiting for the inspection right now, but because of COVID, we have to delay it. And he's like, oh, okay. And so he says, well, I have a deal for you. And I said, what's that? And he said, well, he goes, I don't know if you know, but I'm in business with Ideal Cheese Shop. And I said, I did know that. And he said, I want you to contact them tomorrow. And he said, I want you to drop off. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay. I know you're busy.
Okay. I'm so sorry. My kids.
Oh.
Okay. So he said, I want you to contact them. And I said, okay, I'm going to contact them. And he said, if you don't hear from them, I want you to DM me. So I said, okay. So the next day I get up, I'm all nervous, and I call and I say, hi, can I speak to Michael? And they're like, who's calling? And I said, hi, my name is Benita, and Marcus Lemonis told me to call you. And they were like, what? What do you mean? When do you speak to Marcus Lemonis? So I tell them who I am, and I tell them what I do. And I said, listen, I don't want you to just do this because Marcus said for you to meet with me. I said, I really would love your feedback. And so he said, no, I promise you we'll be very honest with you. He said, bring in a sample. So we drove into the city, and we went to the store, and we dropped off a sample, and he said, I'll call you Monday. I said, okay. So Monday came, and he called me, and he's like, this is delicious. He's like, we want to carry it. And I was blown away. So he gave me some time. He was so kind and very patient with me because, like I said, couldn't get our kitchen inspected, couldn't get authorization from the town to actually utilize the kitchen space. The kitchen had to be inspected. I had to be inspected. So I said to him, can you just please be patient with me because I don't have like a timeline right now. And he said, no. He said, whenever you're ready, you contact me. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, great. So, some time went by. I had to literally harass the state of New Jersey to get an appointment to have the kitchen inspected. We finally got that done. Then I had to have an inspection with the health department. We got that done. And then I was awarded my license to operate. So July came, and Ideal Cheese Shop was my first stop. And so now it's there. And we have been there in their store. This is my third week. And we've sold out, and we had to restock.
Yeah. When I went, I think I bought the last 2 bags.
Yeah. And then we had just restocked. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they put those aside for you because I told them, I said, she's going to come buy some. And they said, oh, we'll put them aside for her. Beautiful. So it's really great to hear that in, 2-3 weeks time frame, we sold out, and they wanted more. And they're like, people are coming and asking for it. Mm-hmm. So it's really,
and it's delicious. I just want to acknowledge Elena here.
Oh, my friend is here.
I want to slice right now, but this is what I really want to highlight is Benita goes and gets it. And what gives you that drive to, you had this idea, you made it happen. You went through some obstacles, and tell me what it was really what just made you go and get it.
It's such a difficult thing. First of all, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. And they're always number one for me. But when I had to take a pause, when I started the business in 2017, and then my family, we decided to move to a different town. Now we only moved 20 minutes from where we used to live, but it changes your life. I lost my social network. I had no one who could help me. My toddler had to go to a new preschool. So it was a very difficult time, and I really had to put it on hold, and it really killed me inside. It was very emotional for me to put that aside, because even though I'm a mom and it's my number one job, I'm still a human being who has ideas and dreams and is creative. So my kids kept asking me. They were like, Mom, when are you going to start selling cheese again? When are you going to sell cheese again? And I was like, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. We have to get settled. We had to set up our house and all of that. And so they kept asking me. And then another side little story. So my daughter, who's in preschool, she brings it for lunch, and she's got the gift of gab like her mother. And so she was telling her teacher, my mommy makes this cheese. So her teacher started asking me about it. And then they said, well, would you mind coming in and teaching the kids about it? So I went into the preschool.
So cute.
Oh. 4-year-olds, and I'm like showing them like, oh, you take curd, and curd comes from a cow from milk, and I'm kind of like walking them through this little like dairy process. And then I made cheese sandwiches for the whole school, like for her class, for the teachers, for the director. And so the director is like, her name is Samantha. She's so lovely. She's like, Benita, I have this friend who has a cheese shop in Maplewood. And she's like, you have to connect with him. She's like, I'm telling you. And so I was like, okay. So that was in November of 2019. So I went and met with him, and he's like, what's your story? So I told him, I said, I had the business, I had to stop, and I want to get back up and running. And I said, but I'd love your feedback, because he actually works for a cheese company. He works for Forever Cheeses. And he has this little kiosk at the general store in Maplewood. So he sells cheese out of there. So he's like, all right, come in, let's meet. So we go through the whole thing, and I give him samples, and he's just like, this is delicious. He's like, you really should do this. And he said, and I'm willing to help you. Beautiful. So it really pushed me. So between my kids asking me, Mommy, when are you going to do this? The burning I had inside of me that killed me that I wasn't doing it. And then just having that encouragement also from somebody who's in the business, it just is something that never left me. It was eating me up inside. And I had to prioritize my family, and I have no regrets about that. But I knew it was something I had to keep doing. It's like, it's like, when you have that thing inside of you that when you're laying in bed at night and you're like, why am I not doing this? I need to do it. When is it going to happen? It was one of those things for me.
Beautiful. And before we dive into the actual product, I have another question for you. So I'm curious, what have you been following Damon John like throughout this time? Like what's
I've been following him for years.
Cool. So what about him? Did you like?
Oh, you know what I love about him? He has such a great story, and the fact that he came from Queens. My husband's from Queens.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, my husband's from Elmhurst.
Cool. I'm from Rockaway.
Oh yeah. See, there you go. And so Damon's from Queens. He grew up with a learning disability. He grew up with a single mother in an urban area where the odds were he was going to lose. Like the odds were not in his favor to win, right? I mean, he always talks about how it was more likely that he would be selling drugs than selling T-shirts. So I really connect with that. Like I grew up in an urban area too. I grew up in Patterson, which is like literally it's like mini Middle East when you go there. Where I grew up, everybody was either Middle Eastern, Turkish, or Hispanic. I mean, I think we had one like truly white Irish kid in my class, my whole 9 years of school. So I really connect with that. I like just seeing somebody that had an idea, thought it through and just kept trying. And so I love that about Damon.
Beautiful. I was just so curious. So
I know, of course, and I'm a huge Shark Tank watcher. So I've been following him for years.
Do you want to maybe like collaborate with him, or?
I would love to collaborate with him. I would love to, I don't know how much he knows about Middle Eastern food, but I would love to collaborate. If he called me right now, I'd be like, let's do it.
Awesome. And then, okay, so now I want to talk about and ask you what makes your cheese different and stand out, because I know you have a secret ingredient besides love.
Yeah, exactly. So Jibneh is made from a cow's milk curd, similar to mozzarella curd. But why it's different is it's seasoned with this special, unique seasoning, and it's called mahleb. That's how you say it in Arabic. And these are the seeds that come from, you won't believe it, inside of a specific type of cherries. So the cherries that we eat, I'm not sure specifically which type of cherry, but there are cherries that produce this. So inside the pit, they crack it open and it comes these seeds, right? So it's so unique, right? Like who would have thought, let me crack open this seed and find this, crack open, the pit. And now I find the seed, and now I'm going to use the seed for whatever you're going to make it with. So I take these seeds and I grind them up. And I will tell you, this is like very expensive. So this is almost like $3 an ounce. So it's almost like when you're thinking like saffron.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
So then what I do is I grind it up and it turns into this powder. See how it kind of looks like sand? So,
okay.
yeah. See that? So then this seasoning gets, it gets incorporated into the cooking process. And it gives the cheese an almondy, nutty, rose, like almost like floral like smell. So I don't know if you smelled it in the bags that you purchased. If you like put your nose to it.
It looks a little different though.
From the way it looks on the cheese, yes. So when it's in the cooking this is how light it looks. But then when it's part of the cooking process, it changes color.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So this is what it starts like. So this is something that you can't go to ShopRite and say, "Oh, I'm going to go buy some mahleb." It's not. So this is like very unique, and it's something that is used in Middle Eastern cheese, baked goods, also like in Turkey and in Greece. So definitely more of the Mediterranean area of the world.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what makes Jibneh taste like Jibneh is the mahleb.
So how did you discover this? Is this like in every Jibneh or okay?
So I will say, I don't know if it's in every Jibneh. It's the way that my family made it growing up. Because if, like I mentioned to you, like if you go to Patterson, they sell Jibneh in Patterson, right? At the Middle Eastern store. I mean, Jibneh is not at ShopRite. You're not going to find any Jibneh there, or at Stop and Shop or anywhere like that. But if you go to Patterson, they have Jibneh. The difference is that, like I explained to you earlier, so they take their curd and they cube it up, and then they literally leave it in the salty brine that it produces, right? So when you take curd and you let it sit and you salt it, the salt is getting absorbed into the curd. And then what happens is the curd releases all of its water. So that's why the cheese that you're buying is semi-hard cheese, because I drained all that water out of it. It has to sit for a certain number of hours for it to get to that consistency for when you have it on your plate.
And it's like the perfect amount of salt. I was saying, like,
Thank you.
So much better than halloumi.
Oh, thank you so much. so when you go to like a Middle Eastern store and you find Jibneh, you're going to find it in a jar that's full of liquid. It's extremely salty. I mean, saltier than feta cheese.
No.
It's like, and also what happens is the salt will take the outside of the curd will form almost like a skin. And the outside will be very hard and the inside will be very tender. So it doesn't have like a good texture inside of like when you're eating it.
Did you make me a Jibneh snob?
Listen, this is what happens. It's like a disease. I've introduced people to this, and now they want it, and now they're going to be like, well, no, this doesn't taste like Benitas.
It's true.
So it's so true, and it's interesting because in Patterson at the Middle Eastern store, they have this block, and it says Jibneh Syrian cheese, and when I bought it, because I was like, oh my god, someone's selling this. So we took it home and I cut it up for my kids and my husband. And I'm like, all right, let's eat it. And I'm looking at it and I'm smelling it. And I'm like, there's no mahleb. They didn't put any mahleb in it. And it looked so like factory made. It was like a wheel, but it has to be in a block shape. So for it to be traditional.
Love it.
Yeah. So
I want to ask you also, what's your favorite food besides Jibneh?
I have so many. I have so many. And I'm not going to lie. And I don't say this just because I'm Middle Eastern, but Middle Eastern food really is my favorite cuisine. Like hands down, I could eat it every meal, 7 days a week, and I'd never get sick of it. So I really love, other than Jibneh, there's this Middle Eastern recipe called mjeddera. And if you like lentils, this dish is amazing, and it's so easy to make. And I'm actually going to make a video on it, and so that way people can learn what it is.
So you get a little preview.
I don't have it with me, but I will tell you about it.
Okay.
So, it's made with. It's so simple. It's literally like 3 cups of water, 1 cup of lentils, and then if you don't have in Arabic, it's called bulgur, which is bulgar. That's how Americans say it. If you don't have bulgur, you can use rice. So, because not everybody has bulgur, I know that, but you can also order a bulgur on Amazon if you need it. So, and literally what you do is you cook the lentils for like 18 minutes, and then while you're cooking your lentils, you're chopping up a small yellow onion and you're caramelizing the onion in about like I would say a quarter cup of olive oil. Mm. And then once the lentils are like they're tender, you add in the bulgur or the rice. You add in, so it's 1 cup of lentils to a half a cup. No, I'm sorry, I'm saying that backwards. It's the other way. It's half a cup of lentils to 1 cup of bulgur. And then you add the bulgur in, you put the lid on it. Oh, and of course you add salt because you have to season everything. Add salt, stir it, cover it, put it on simmer like as if you were cooking rice. And then while that's, cooking, your onions are caramelizing. Once all that water is absorbed, you take the lid off and you pour the hot olive oil and caramelized onions on top. And literally that's all that flavors it. Oh. And it creates this amazing flavor. It's so delicious. So I'm definitely going to create a video on that because people have asked me about it, and then I'll share it with you.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's so delicious.
So what about Mediterranean food is just like makes your heart sing? And are you going to come out with another product?
Oh yes. So oh my gosh, there's so many things. So first of all, I love tabbouleh. Any type of when I got married, we went to Greece for our honeymoon. I ate so much Greek salad with feta cheese that I couldn't take my ring off. Like my hands were swollen. So I love any type of Arabic salad with dried mint. I did a video today on mint. I don't know if
I'm drying mint right now.
Yeah, we talked about drying mint. So anything with mint, lemon. I mean, those are like the flavors of the Mediterranean, and honestly are a very big base of Middle Eastern cooking. And so I love that. Falafel. Oh my God, it's so delicious. Hummus. Yeah, so good. And I make all of that myself at home. Like we don't buy sabra. Like that's like a bad word in our house. So I only make my own homemade hummus. So, but I do want to have other products that complement Jibneh. And oh, by the way, I forgot to show you this.
Oh yeah,
I made this for you. So inspired by your breakfast. So this is just a brioche.
2 days in a row. And I don't even eat bread right now.
I know you're not eating any gluten, but this is a brioche toast with apricot jam and then just cold Jibneh sliced on top.
Oh, I melted it.
Yeah, you melt it. You have to try it just cold.
But day 3 tomorrow.
I know, now you can have this tomorrow for breakfast. So this is so good because you get the sweet and the salty. Oh. And and then when you have like a crunchy piece of bread or a cracker, you're getting all of that texture in your mouth. So yeah, in terms of like other products, I absolutely would love to come out with other products. And one of them would be, I would love to sell dried mint because Jibneh melted with dried mint sprinkled on top is incredible. And literally the dried mint like glues itself inside of the cheese. And then when you bite into it, you're getting a minty, salty, smooth bite that's like no other. So I would love to sell mint. I'd love to sell Aleppo pepper. That's something that, people are starting to dabble in a little bit. Like Trader Joe's had something with Aleppo pepper. And I was like,
what is Aleppo pepper?
Aleppo pepper is, it's not like crushed red pepper. It has more of a smokiness to it. So it's like our equivalent of crushed red pepper. Oh, hold on one second. I'm sorry, I lost you there. There we go. It's our equivalent of crushed red pepper, but doesn't have quite as much heat as it does smokiness. So typically, like when you have a Jibneh melted sandwich, which in Arabic is called Jibneh imsa'a, which means a melted Jibneh sandwich on pita. We sprinkle in the dried mint and the Aleppo pepper. It's to die for. It really is. It's so delicious. So I'd love to sell mint. I'd love to sell the Aleppo pepper. We have other seasonings that are not mainstream to the American public yet. There's something called da'a, and it's a mix of 7 spices. Oh. That is fantastic. It has cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom. It's so delicious. And you can use it as like a rub. You can use it... you can make pita chips with it. I use it for so many different things. You can put it on your eggs, scrambled eggs. It's fabulous with it. So I'd love to sell that. And the ultimate dream, like if I was like, okay, like, someone right now is sitting in front of me, like, all right, give me your biggest dream and I'm going to make it come true. I would love to have a kiosk, like a Kasbo kiosk. So KK, there you go. and have a refrigerator at the bottom. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's all good.
Okay. I'd love to have a kiosk where there's a refrigerator at the bottom that you can buy Jibneh inside. And then above you, like maybe it would have like a shelving rack. This is what I'm envisioning. I've already drawn it. And so it's good to visualize your dreams, right?
It's going to happen.
Right. And then on top, I would have like the spices. Do you know what za'atar is?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
You're broadening a lot of my horizons right now.
So that's another thing too. So za'atar, which is it's a, I don't want to call it a seasoning. It's not really, it can be used as a seasoning, but it's made with thyme, sesame seeds, and in Middle Eastern cooking, if you Google it, we'll take like flatbread and then you mix it in with oil, and it's really delicious. I mean, if you love thyme and sesame and all of that, you get all that flavor in it. So I would love to make a product that has that incorporated into it. So that's the big dream is to slowly build the product line based on the cheese, and then and really educate people on, you know what, I can learn about Middle Eastern food, and I don't have to be Middle Eastern, and I don't have to be afraid of it, and just really enjoy what I enjoyed growing up eating. And I really want to also like use it as like an education platform to educate people on Middle Eastern people, Middle Eastern culture. I think a lot of times people have certain ideas about people from the Middle East, and you know, some of them are, unfortunately, they're negative, and some of them are they maybe approach you more with like a question mark about who you are. And I think food is just like the easiest way to connect with people. That's, you know, non-hostile, non-political, and people can learn a lot from you through the way that you eat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's really like my goal. Because I didn't mention this earlier, but I forgot to, but I also used to serve as a translator. I speak fluent Arabic. So I served as a translator for Syrian refugee dinners in New Jersey.
Wow.
So that was like really, really intense because, you know, it's not lost on me that I could have been a refugee myself. And so I'm very lucky that, you know, my parents came here when I was 2 years old. And, you know, it was very humbling, you know, to see people who literally ran from their country because they were going to get killed. So that was like a very tough thing for me because it just like reminded me where I came from. And it's difficult to know, like there's a war going on there, and they don't really talk about that in the news anymore because there's so much other things to talk about between, you know, COVID and the election and everything. So I like that I can bring knowledge to that cause.
So beautiful.
Yeah. So that's like really important to me. So if I can help educate people on who Middle Eastern people are, I'm happy to be the poster child for it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm here. I want to learn.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to teach you. And
I totally agree with you. And I stand by that. Like you could learn a lot from people and culture by breaking bread with them. And you know, sharing a conversation over food. I just think it's really, really powerful.
Absolutely. And it just like brings down, I think, everyone's guard and, you know, kind of throws out their preconceived notions out the window because you're just enjoying a meal together. So if I can bring a taste of Syria to people's, you know, traditional American table, I would love to do it.
Yay. Well, you did this week.
Well, I'm so happy. And that's why my friend Elena, who was on earlier, she's like, we need to contact trace that cheese. I want to know every Jibneh journey. So I love that. I don't know where it is. I don't know who's eating it, but I think about it all the time. Like, I'm like, who bought it today and who has it?
That just reminded me of the story you told me the other day about, you know, I asked you what was your favorite experience, like after putting your product out there and something you heard from a customer. Can you share that with us?
Sure. So when I went back to Ideal Cheese Shop this week, you know, on Thursday, Michael, the owner, said, "Oh, Benita, like we had like a traditional Syrian family came in and they purchased your cheese." And I said, "Oh my God, that's so great." And I said, he said they came back and gave us feedback. I go, "What did they say?" And I was so nervous because Middle Eastern people are extremely critical of their food. You know, if it's not like the way their grandmother made it, it's not right. And so fortunately, they said that she gave it to her parents, who are like literally from Syria. They are immigrants here. And they said if they felt like they were at home eating it in Syria. So that was just such a big compliment. And I appreciate that feedback so very much. And it makes me feel so good to know that I'm bringing someone's like memories back to them through cheese.
It's amazing.
It's really, really great. And then the other story that he shared with me, which was really exciting too, was that a chef came in from New York City that is a chef at a hotel, and that he had Middle Eastern clients coming in and he wanted a Middle Eastern product for them. And so Michael said, well, we have this woman, she makes Syrian cheese. And so he bought 5 bags of it. So that was really exciting. So I hope they enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, I know they did.
So yeah, so it's been a really interesting journey, and I'm so lucky. Like, I have very supportive friends, and I'm very thankful to them. Even like my packaging, like, oh, I was going to ask you, what do you think of my packaging?
I love it, and I love that your name is on there and you tell a story. I think it's because honestly, I think you sell the cheese. Like, from the minute I saw you on the live with Day, I was like, she is something else. You know, like, I was so drawn to you and
thank you
and your product and your heart. You were so heartfelt in describing, you know, your product, and I love that.
Thank you so much. Well, I really like this label. So this was this like literally was like a shell of a label. Like, I always envisioned having a modern but a Middle Eastern theme, but not too traditional, you know, just a little bit of modern flair. And believe it or not, just a little tip to people, I got this logo, this outside design was made on Fiverr. So that's like a great website to go to have logos made. And my friend and food stylist, Sue, took it. And I said, Sue, like, it's not perfect. And, you know, we had it from a few years. And, you know, you sit with something for a little bit and you go back and revisit it and say, we can make it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So that's what we did. So Sue took it and elevated it into more of a brand story, where it had the business name along with the product name. So I was so thankful for her that she created this gorgeous label for me. And I wanted to keep it in that kind of like goldish, you know, amber, copper kind of look. Because those are like Middle Eastern colors. And in the future, what you can expect is to see this label with Kasbo's Market on top, and then there'll be a different product name.
Yeah.
So that way we're kind of like building a brand. So
beautiful.
Yeah. And then on the back, like you said, there's a story with pairings. So that way, you know, give you ideas, because a lot of times people, they don't know. They're like, well, what do I do with it? And
I didn't see any other cheese there. As well, the other ones I bought, or any other cheese that had that.
Yeah. And I felt that was really critical, because people are going to be hesitant. They're going to be like, well, like, I don't know what this is. It's white. You know, I've had cheesemongers, I kid you not, tell me, it looks boring. No. I've had people say that to me, and I say, okay, that's fine, but you need to taste it, right? We don't like stare at cheese. We eat cheese. Mm-hmm. So taste it and then tell me what you think. And then when they eat it, they go, I didn't expect it to taste like that. And I'm like, exactly. So that's why I felt it was really important to put something on the back, so that way a customer can relate to what they can pair it with, mm-hmm. and not go home and just sit there and be like, well, do I just slice it up and eat it? Which that's perfect too. It tastes delicious. But I wanted to give ideas for pairings, and then utilize obviously Instagram and my social media to further educate people, and, you know, and get feedback from them about, you know, how they're enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I bought it, we actually went to my favorite coffee shop, which was a few blocks away.
Oh, okay.
Remy. I don't know if you've been there.
Remy, yeah.
So I went there, and we had like a little picnic where we bought like a selection of cheeses, and yours was definitely my favorite.
Oh, thank you so much.
When I saw the bag, I'm like, oh yeah, there was 3 in it. I forgot, because we had ate some.
I know. It goes quick.
Mm-hmm. And then on my canoe trip, I had made a salad with the cucumber and tomato. It was just such a beautiful, light just delicious, nourishing, filling lunch.
And it's so interesting because I had someone DM me who purchased it, and she said, I'm not like a big meat eater, and she didn't eat like a lot of protein, but she said, she's like, it's filling, but you don't feel weighed down.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, that's a really great way of describing it. And I know what she's saying. Like, you feel like you ate something substantial, but you're not feeling like, oh my God, my stomach is so heavy right now.
I did not expect to eat my whole salad. And I did.
That's great. That's great. Oh, and speaking of other products, I would love to come out with a salad dressing.
See that?
I would love to. I kid you not, because the mint, so in traditional Middle Eastern salad, has dried mint, Aleppo pepper, lemon juice, salt, and then sometimes sumac, right? Like depending if you're eating like a fattoush salad or a traditional Arabic salad. So when you make the salad, and I am going to do videos on this that you'll be able to see, it just produces this amazing flavor between the mint and the lemon, and the little bit of the smokiness from the Aleppo pepper. So if one day, I would love to have a bottled salad dressing.
That's happening.
Yeah. So that's the goal. I mean, like, that's the ultimate dream, is to get it to be in a store with this kiosk idea where you kind of have like a one-stop shop for Middle Eastern flavors and products that you can just all buy that my company produces.
Boom.
Yeah. So, but yours look delicious. When I saw that picture, I was like, oh, she got it right.
Thank you. It was good.
Good. I'm so glad.
So I want to ask you, this question's actually inspired by Damon. I've been following him throughout COVID. He's been such an inspiration for me, and I just love how he's showing up for us. And the guests that he brings on his show I've actually made a lot of good friends through his show. So it's just been, I just love him. But one of the questions he asks is, if you had a superpower, what would that be? I'm curious to what yours would be.
So other than like healing the world of sickness, that would be number one.
That's mine too.
Yeah, healing the world of sickness would always be my number one. But I really wish I was like an octopus. Like, I wish I had more arms and multitask even faster than I do, because it's just, there's so much to do in a day, and it's it's hard juggling a business and a young family and ideas. And I actually do work part-time too. I have a part-time job that I have to do. And so it's a lot. And so I always think, God, I wish I had more arms, make a meal here, make some cheese with this arm. That would be amazing to me. But number one always for me is heal the world of sickness.
Love that.
Much of that. But
I just want to ask a question off that question, because I feel like as entrepreneurs, like I follow Tony Robbins. I'm big in his community. And I just did the virtual UPW event. And my biggest limiting belief is that there's not enough time in the day.
Right. There isn't.
And I'm curious about like how because obviously you do a million things. How do you balance?
It's really, really tough. And I will tell you, like, I think like, especially as a parent, like I always feel guilty no matter what I'm doing, like whether I'm working my part-time job or I'm making cheese. But I've learned through coronavirus, especially, I've learned to have a lot more patience with myself. I was always extremely critical of myself, and I've learned to back off of myself. I really have. Like I can sometimes be my own worst enemy. And if I could give advice to people, it would be, stop beating yourself up. And it's really hard. Like I can't sit here and tell you like my house is immaculate and my kitchen's always clean and the laundry's folded and put away. It's not. None of that is true. It's just, everything's so perfect. And I go to the gym 5 days a week. Yeah, that's it's really, really tough. So what I try to do, especially I've learned through coronavirus, is on the days that I work my part-time job, I'm working my part-time job. And when I come home from that, or if luckily there is a little bit of downtime on my part-time job, so I can do a little bit of like, emailing or Instagramming for cheese. That's fine. Awesome. And then on my days off, I focus on what I need to do for my cheese business, whether, like, for example, I have a big order that I'm fulfilling this for next week. And so I'm starting this week. So Thursday, I don't work my corporate job. I'm going to be making cheese on Thursday. So my husband knows that on Thursday I will be in the kitchen, and it's a process. You have to start it in the morning. The cheese has to sit for a number of hours. You have to go back. You have to cook it. You have to let it cool. I have to package it. Everything has to be weighed. I mean, it's a job, and I do it all myself. Wow. So nobody helps me. And then, the bags have to be packaged, sealed, right? You have to make sure all the air is out of the bags. So it's a lot of work. So I've really tried to bucket my time, and I've tried to stop being so mean to myself. Oh. And if I could tell people, stop beating yourself up. Yeah. You're one person. Mm-hmm. I can't do it all. Yeah. I can't do it all. Yeah. So the way I see it is that my kids, I'm very big into healthy eating. I'm very big into giving my kids fresh food. So I prioritize that every day. And then my business is on my off days. So like you'll always see whenever I deliver cheese, it's going to be on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday because I work the other days. So I really try to schedule all my time around what days I'm working, what days I'm not. And I fill in the gaps. I mean, it's endless. It's truly endless running a household without any help. And I think what pushes me even further is that I want my kids to see that their mom can do it. Beautiful. And so it's really important to me, but it's not easy. But just don't beat yourself up. If you're starting a business and you're running a household, or even if you're young and you're not married and you don't have kids, like, you're going to make mistakes. It's not everything's going to be perfect, and you still have to push through that, and just be good to yourself and be really proud of yourself.
I love that.
Yeah, and you have to, and I really believe that as a new like an entrepreneur, you have to be more proud of yourself than someone is of you. So like all my wonderful friends are always like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I appreciate that so much. Like, it fills my heart. But I have to be most proud of myself, because that's what's going to push me to try to get to the next product and try to get into another store. You have to push yourself, and you have to have that determination within you. So you can't always rely on other people to fill that gap. You 100%. Have to have it. Yeah, you can't have that void inside of your heart for yourself.
Beautiful.
So that's really what I think. But it's a lot of juggling, and it's not perfect, and it's not always neat. Like right now, my kids are a mess. And we'll get it done.
Beautiful. Well, I just want to thank you for coming on the show, and it's been so awesome getting to know you and talking to you, the past week daily. And I just want to
thank you so much. I really appreciate you so much. And I thank you for the support and reaching out to me and being so kind. And this is wonderful. And I'm excited for you too, to see where your next steps take you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Jenny.
You're welcome, love. Is there anything else that's on your heart that you want to share?
You know what? I would just tell people that if you have an idea, go test it out. And go for it. Like, why not try? What Gary Vee always says, right?
I kept thinking of him like so much when you were talking.
I mean, we're all going to die one day, and not that I think about like I'm going to die one day, but I do think about what would my kids say about me when I do. Like what are they going to think about their mom? And if I can be that example to them as somebody who worked a job, had 3 young children, ran a business, and kept taking steps towards my goal. I mean, I would be thrilled to know that that's what I left behind for them. So if you have an idea, don't give up on yourself. Just take smart moves to take you to each step, and you can get there.
Beautiful. So, all right, Benita, I think.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll be in touch, and
absolutely.
I'm going to try out a couple more of those recipes.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, and feel free to DM me, text me, anything, anytime.
Beautiful.
All right, honey. Take care.
Ciao, guys.